Sidney Costello was one of the very well-known anglers in the Westport area. He lived in Napa, and he was the man that always caught the best fish in the first fish. And I think himself and John Willie Hewson and Bridge Street were competitors. Each was trying to outdo the other. And what they governs their 90s is something about that type of life that there's longevity in it.
That was 1957.
57?
Yeah.
No, that's
The church has not changed.
yeah. No, that's just that's the photograph where Major John McBride was born.
Oh,
You
yes.
probably know about Major John McBride. His son Sean McBride became a politician after, and a scholar and many other things, and a barrister. And that's the house he was born in, which is very historic. There's a plaque there now to Major John McBride. There wasn't at the time. And it was next door to McBride's bar, who were relations or cousins, I think. Okay, Conor. But that's, you see, this McBride's bar then was there. It's now the Heron, isn't it? The Heron? Yeah, it's the Heron. And there is the key now. This is up to McGee's on High Street. Now McGee's on the left-hand side going up the street. The other McGee's were the other side. His brother was the other side of the street, Miles McGee. But the thing about that was during the war, I remember during the war things were very bad, and there was a clog factory at the back of that, making clogs, but leather was scarce and shoes were scarce. And I remember those clogs and people were wearing them in Westport, the wooden soles with leather uppers, and they were made there in, there was a place there at the back, and there was a clog factory in there too. I think there was another one somewhere else in Westport, I'm not sure. Where? The Key, yes, that's right, there was. There was one there too. Okay. I think that's it. Other people have just up and down now, and this house is still there. I'm not sure if there's something there now. Caravita is there? Yeah. All right, Tom. That was me with my Ronnie Carpin, now Ronnie Gibbons, and Anne Gibbons and McLaughlin. Now, they were living just 2 doors down there, and that wall is the boundary wall of the old workhouse, the famous old workhouse in Westport, where outside those walls thousands of people died from hunger, and they were buried in big lime pits. Now, this was on Bridge Street, on the upper part of Bridge Street, on the left-hand side, going down. And that was next door to Flynn's, where Peter Freeman, they had a cafe and restaurant, or cafe next door there. You see it in another picture. And that place there then was owned by Michael and J. Heenan, who had a bakery and bar and grocery. His grandson is there, is up the street far from that. And I bought that building in this was in, photograph was taken in 1950s. In the 50s.
59,
Yes, but in 1967 I bought that building because I got married in 1964 and we bought Ivy Cottage and we lived in Ivy Cottage. And then we had 2 children and it was a bit confined trying to develop photographs and darkroom and that. I had a small darkroom and it was time to move out. And before that, when I started on the Key Road where I lived, I had the darkroom under the stairs, as many photographers started under the stairs with darkrooms. So we move on, Conor, and see what's next. Yes, now, there's O'Grady's news agents at the time. It was a small building, and that was the building I bought. It was 3 stories, only 8 feet wide, but we had a lovely shop there, selling cameras, films, photographs, landscapes and that. Upstairs was the studio, and upstairs then there was another apartment which Bernadette Burke stayed in it, Tom Carter's sister, and it was a lovely little bedsit. And at the back of the studio there, and at the back of that, I had an office there, a press office for Sean Staunton and Sean Rice. Sean Staunton was with the Conor Telegraph at the time, and Sean Rice, they were both at the Conor Telegraph. Sean Rice was a sports reporter, and they're still Hale and Hartley, both of them. So we'll move on, Conor. That's just showing you now, looking down Bridge Street, the few cars that were in it at that time. That was in the 60s again. Very few cars on the street. A few potholes there too. Yeah. Now this was, Duffy's Mill Street got the Volkswagen agency in the 60s, which was a great thing to have, the whole thing, because of the new thing, the Beatles were very new. Well, they came out in the 50s, but they got the agency there, and that was Tommy Joe Cochran and on Street for them, begging for somebody. And so that we can move on. My first car, that could have been it. In 50, no, not then. Yeah, that could be from the 50. 57 I got my first Volkswagen Beetle. Now this, at the time, this was the thread factory in Westport, the Irish Sun Cotton Company, with the big stack. And at that time there was an embargo on importing any thread from outside Ireland. The other areas brought in an embargo. So that the only thread factory in Ireland was there in Westport. Westport always had a tradition of manufacturing. They didn't have any state subsidies. Castle Barrow was more or less subsidised by county council offices, hospital, mental hospitals. All the other things were all government sponsored. But Castle Barrow or Westport had to do it all on their own. So local shopkeepers and shopkeepers were directed to a lot of these factories. They also started a shoe factory, which come to after. Go ahead, Colin. Well, let's go back showing you the McBride name now is up in McBride. Yeah, that was later on, yeah. But these are all in date sequence now. If you saw them, you see them from our files. We had to do them all in date sequence. Couldn't do them any other way. Now, the town hall there, which at the moment has been done up again, you see the railings that were outside at the time. I remember those very clearly. And Highlands, Miss Highlands. Before that, it was Johnny McHale. Johnny McHale in Colette, and Johnny Harbour on James Street also, and they went to America. And I think that they're rather still living on that. All right, Colin. Now, this is, that was Cusick's. And this was before I started doing my place. And Mrs. Flynn did that up too. And I think Dr. Farrell rented it when he started getting older first before he got married. He was staying there for a short time. It was there, yes. That's the clock there and the phone box now. That was you and Westport, the phone box at the time. And we always would go into trying to use the phone because we had no phones. You'd ring up and say, what's the time? And they'd answer you. Yeah. All right. And there was beside now the young lads knocking around outside. They had nothing to do. There was no consideration at all really for young teenagers. Nobody was ever making any effort at the time. But knocking around and going there for any money, you get an ice cream and some tin fruit, and it was a real treat in a little room at the back. And now this is the start of the building of the textile factory in Westport. There was nothing there before that. So there was a lot of negotiation for a long time to get that land, but eventually. Okay, Conor. Now looking up Bridge Street, that was the West. At the time the West used to keep people too, and they had a restaurant there. It's Phelan said it. And I'm not sure, is that Meox?
Yeah.
It could have been Meox, they had a bakery there too. There was a bakery in the West, there was a bakery in Meox, there was a bakery in Beaton's, which was over there, that was 3. Up there, up that area, there was Hopshaw's had a bakery 4. And over in the Octagon, there was Kelly's Bakery. There were 5 bakeries in Westport at the time.
And yet Heenan's.
Oh, Heenan's, 6. There was 5 from Bridge Street. 5 on Bridge Street, yeah. 6 in Westport, that's right. Heenan's at the top. All right, Carl. I just looking up the... There must have been after a lot of rain. Looking down James Street. Yeah, there's no traffic on it at all. Nothing coming or going on it at that time. Yes, really the dates didn't come out on that now. It's the work perfect on our showing before. John Hoare on James Street, he was a blacksmith. And he got this idea because of St. Patrick's Week, he'd make these. But a lovely man, an honest man, but I don't think he sold any of them. That's the way that people might stick them in their own or something. Now, I think somebody knows over there, what was the name of the pub? Can I remember? No, the nickname. The nickname.
Bucket of Blood.
It's a bucket of blood, yeah. No.
You married Bucket of Blood store.
Yeah. I knew that somebody over there knew I knew about them. Now it was very unusual. We didn't have many tourists then. When a bus tour come to Westport, About fortune, someone ring me and ask me to take a photograph of them. These are an American group. Just visiting Westport. Okay. Now, the drama was big in Westport. See, self-entertainment, as I've mentioned before, was the great thing in the town because people had the money for it and everything else. And that's what Willie Sheridan. Is that his name, Agnes? Agnes' husband. Willie Sheridan. Mary Angela Kelly. And Frank Flanagan. Is that Mary Angela? No, it's Myra. It's Myra Gibbons, it is. Yeah, Myra Hanby now, that's right. And these are scenes from the plays they were doing at that time.
That's very
That's Mary Hanby. George by Willie Sheridan. Hope you never did that to you, Agnes.
Moss.
Yes, it's the Moss family. Actually, it's Moss married Myra, not Mary Angela. She looked awful close to it. There's Myra now, then Myra. That's Michael Kennedy, who went to Galway after them. He was in Westport House for many years. He went to Galway then. That's Myra Hanby. There she is, yeah. Mary Angela. Mary Angela really flirt, wasn't she? That was the
Jeremy Eichmann.
that was their very first daughter. And they had 4 more after that, they had 5 daughters. And that's Sheenan's. Then I used to get a lot of calls to Westport House anytime groups would come there. And we'd find they were from Tubbercurry, yeah. And I'd have to send around them to, would say, the photographs to the Sligo champion. And maybe the Western people too, that would cover their area. And wherever the group was from, I'd find their local papers and I'd supply them with the photographs visiting Westport House. It was all promotion. And I mean, Westport House brought the tourists to Westport before anybody. They really built up Westport in tourism. Now, this is one to be identified. I just wondered if anybody tell me where, I don't know where that is. No photograph long years ago was given to copy, I mean, it surfaced lately. And I think it was in O'Connell, that man, a school teacher, I don't know what school, I'd love to know what school it is or where it is.